Hey, everybody! I wanna bring this to order here. I want to make a couple mentions of something here just beforehand. Did you? As you can see, there's a very good cause, and I need to talk to you afterwards, Becky. I'm glad you came in.
Oh, where do I stand?
Did you?
I still want to talk.
That works. No, come up here. This is all right because we're come on this side actually, so people can really see you. There we go, right there. Okay, so let me do this. Hey guys, we've got a very special event going on, and I really want to give these kids a really high five out because they've made it a point to look at the gazebo in the park and have really taken it on their shoulders to see what they can do as part of their community involvement to say this is something they want to try to help fix. So with that, I turn it over to the people who are in charge of this bake sale.
Yeah.
I'm Hannah,
And I'm Martha. And
thank you so much for donating to the gazebo. And during the mayor's speech, if you guys want to come back and get your treats, please do. And please tell everyone you know about this because we're excited.
Yeah. Oh, as you can tell, we have no rehearsal for this speech because
It's all right.
Yeah.
You shouldn't.
Well, yeah, we hang out. We have hanged out a lot at the gazebo, and because of all the breakage, we want to make sure it's safe so we can hang out. It's in the holiday parks thing. We just want to keep it preserved. It's part of our history. So just got to keep that safe.
And we'd like to give a shout out to all the businesses, Mid Toronto, Jenny's, Niche, and Java Owl for donating.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I particularly wanted to give a shout out because there's certain things I pick up on in social media, and that's kids and their parents take an active involvement as part of their entertainment, part of their desire to be a part of the community, and things along that line. Should never be criticized. I think it is fantastic what you guys are doing. It's something that I just believe every kid should do community service in one way or the other, and I think it is fantastic. I really do. I'll start off on a couple things that I wanted to mention. Is my family and I very much appreciate the condolences that we've received. I've lost a brother very, very suddenly, and a lot of people know the circumstances. It's one where we really appreciate all the things that have been said. So a shout out to people who have kept us in their prayers. The other thing is the July 15th trophy event. I couldn't be more pleased about. I think the count was somewhere north of 500, maybe approaching 600 people. We gave out 500 Cracker Jacks. We 150 hardballs signed, and those were primarily to children. We had, I believe, I can't remember. Angie, maybe James, you guys might remember. We had we sold out of shirts. Not even sold out, just got out of shirts from the very beginning. I mean, in the first 15 minutes, and it was just a real fun time by everybody. And I think from the feedback that I've received, I mean, it was something we did completely out of hotel motel tax funds. If people are wanting to know how much we spent between $15,000 and $20,000 of hotel motel tax funds, and I'll take sole responsibility for that because I told the Parks and Recreation Committee that they should not worry about that I don't know when the Astros will be around, and that if we as a family community can bring our families out and celebrate a trophy, I will take responsibility for the money spent. And I was the one pushing to say, let's make it an event that we can all remember, and I think it is. and I'm actually very pleased with how it turned out. And we've got, just so people know, we've got about $1 million of funded hotel motel tax funds. So if we can spend it on our kids for something as all-American as baseball and a World Trophy or a World Series trophy, I'm in, and I'm in full. So it was great.
It was heartwarming to see the families milling around and going to get their ice cream and walking around.
451 ice creams, I hear.
Yes, yes. And the people had so much fun, and everyone was so nice. And the Astros organization said that this is one of the best places they've ever been. So we really
just to give it in a part. We basically spend $10,000 over budget out of property taxes on street ease. We spent about $15,000 on the trophy out of hotel motel tax funds. So I'll take that anytime. I thought it was great. So thanks to Recreation Committee, thanks to really Laura Ford, for, I mean, just so you know, Laura Ford went to an event, did a lot of the background information, came to me to say, would the city support it? Because the Astros group wanted to have a, that there was true backing behind it. So I wrote to them, but don't take that as the legwork was done by Laura Ford, Michelle Weller, and the Parks and Recreation, and the Katie Frazier. A real big shout out to Katie Frazier. She's somebody who has done a lot. So it went off a lot of hit. And then all the volunteers. I must have counted 30, 35 just people came out just to hand out Cracker Jacks, just to hand out stuff. And we had Michael Bourne and Brandon Backey signing. And what I couldn't believe is how popular Orbit is. I mean, holy cow. We had to set up a separate line because he just about swamped everybody in that regard. So that was great. What else?
I'd like to give a shout out to Vanessa Bay Rock. They painted over 150 rocks over.
Yeah, correct.
How? 170. Okay,
Yep.
My bad. I can't count. But over 100 hours of the team painting.
No question.
Yeah. So
I mean, they were there. There were people handing out. There was the DJ, so there was music. Take me out to the ballpark. You name it. I mean, all of them. So it was. We actually, the Astros actually responded after the event, giving us great kudos. Said that is so much fun. One of the top events that they had been to, and they also wanted the T-shirts that we put together. They want to know if they can get the federation, whether they can get the T-shirts that were put together. So
Super.
I think it's hilarious.
There was only one problem with the Cracker Jacks, according to Pete.
Oh.
The kids didn't know. They didn't know the
The
correlation.
younger kids do not know what Cracker Jacks are. They know popcorn and peanuts. Old timers know.
Yep.
It was really surprising for the young ones.
So-
like, oh, you like a Cracker Jack?
So we had a historical educational moment.
Yes.
Is that what you say?
And the other thing there is, we noticed that the Orbit, very popular, has his own customized air-conditioned van.
Yep.
And the Nassau Bay Easter Bunny that does not have a customized van was lucky to get a ride on a golf cart.
Well, we'll have to see if we can rectify that, Pete.
And I think they also have a van inside.
They did. I saw it. They had a.
So that was a misnomer. No air conditioning inside the costume. In the van, they have air.
They did. They had a mister. I couldn't believe it. They had a full mister inside there. Yep.
Yeah, because I wanted to check that out.
But
Great event.
couple other things is I want to remind everybody we're really pushing to get the Charter Review Committee up and running. We want to be able to appoint those hopefully by this August. We've gotten some input, but I want to keep plugging for that because again, you've heard me. I'm early. We're doing this earlier than we need to by our charter, but we've got a number of things that are really problematic with our charter. We've got some things as laws have evolved that we haven't kept up with, and we need to. And with also the aggressive nature of our folks in Austin, they're changing some things around what we can and can't do, and we're going to have to update that also. But it's a really, really important committee. It's one that states that a minimum 6-month journey or commitment. I believe it's going to be every bit of that. The whole intent would be to have us vote on the council for any recommendations or modifications. And then it goes to you, the voters, for any modification. And I very much want to see those improvements made, because I think it comes to the heart of a lot of disagreements we have in the community. And I want to get us back on the same page, that we have a uniform understanding of what is required and what is not. And I'll give you very much an idea. Is there's just how we deal with committees. You know, we have 3 different types of committees, and everybody thinks we have only one. We have chartered committees, we have advisory committees, and we have ad hoc committees. All of which have departments per the city secretary. Some require minutes, some require Open Meetings Act, requirements, which we haven't done. Some people think it reports to the city manager. Some people think they report to council. They all report to council, but it's just, again, I believe that there's people who want to say, how do you be, who should be, or should there be any definition around who can be chair? Is there any definition around, term limits, things like that? There's a whole lot of stuff that I think, without being prescriptive about but I think there needs to be a meeting of the minds of the consensus in Nassau Bay, put it out there so that we all understand and we're all on the same basis, because a lot of times we're fighting over stuff which is stupid in my mind, just stupid, and a lot of it's a lack of clarity. We even have things that, believe it or not, we almost had a individual get declared ineligible based off a criteria that no longer exists since 1996. And I just believe that we should update our stuff, because we should never have something that would make somebody in our country ineligible to have elective office unless the standard's very high. I think that's what separates us from the two-bit countries in the world, and what we consider our democracy. So there's a lot of things like that need to be done, and I just rattled off four, but it's something that needs to be really looked at. And if it's something from the committee that they want to have the council do as a resolution rather than put the charter, I'm open, but it means that there needs to be some pretty solid conversations relative to this topic. And that's why I've been pushing to have it done early.
So everybody's on the same page going forward.
So everyone's on the same page going forward.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So again, we're trying to get those here. We have a August 14th council meeting, and we'd like to be able to name that committee during that time. Okay. We're in the full throngs of the budget. I wanted to give a few things that are hitting that. I'm so glad we changed some things around water rates last year. We've had a number of different capital projects that we will have to do that's impacting particularly the water and sewer fund was prepared for. We are a participant and part owner in the Houston Southeast water treatment plant. They have deemed about 2 years ago that our water main, which we get exclusive water coming to us from Highway 3, needs to be replaced. It was estimated at about $1.4 million, and they have not been able to execute on that. And we've gotten an update that they now believe that's going to be about $3 million. So we have no alternative. We're up with about $1.6 million additional.
I thought we didn't come up with the 3 million.
We do.
Oh,
We do. We were planning on the 1.4. We were not planning on the additional 1.6. So that is part of, people ask me, how's that so? And I go, we're a minority owner of a business, and the board just decided we need to pay for that pipe because it's coming our way, and it's been deemed for at least 2 years that I know of as being lacking the sufficient pressure, as holes and things like that, and has been designated for full replacement. So we also have our water tower, which needs to be renovated and repainted. We also, if you look down Upper Bay Road in some of our streets, there's the location at Upper Bay and Prince William that seems to be the never-ending construction. It's because as we got in there, we saw that the force main was leaking fairly egregiously. They've been trying to put a patch on it. The bottom line there is from that work, we're now going to have to replace. We believe we have to replace the whole force main, which goes all the way down to the waste treatment plant. So that is the pressure line that powers the grid for a lot of the parts of the city. It is a serious line that we have to make sure stays with good integrity. So we're going to be replacing that line. That's about another $1 million that we're going to have. In addition, I don't want to get off or move away from a constancy of purpose with our water line replacement projects. If you remember, we used to have about 10 to 12 per month. We're now down to, we're right in the thick of it right now. So we've only had 2 per month. And so it's been a reduced level. I'm assuming it's probably going to come up here in August, but I'm very much committed. I think the council is very much committed to make sure we replace that infrastructure, and we changed the water rates last year in order to specifically afford that. It's just become more expensive than we thought. We're going to be gearing to do probably close to another $2 million worth of water line replacement during this, which will pretty much take care of all the real bad actor areas. So we're very hopeful of that. Did I see your hand or no? But we don't want to let up on that. The more which we can keep these guys here and mobilize, the cheaper the project is. So we are pushing that work. I'm sure they will bid, and I'm sure they will win because they've got all their people and machinery and all of that already here located. We also have to replace the actual line that's runs across Nass Road 1. I call it the main header system that goes into our grid from the city water line. We're going to be taking the opportunity to pull out a number of the 90s and the 45s, so it's like straight out, and we're also upscaling the line, which for everybody who kind of experience their house, you should see a noticeable difference after we do that project, and they're gearing to start that project to be bid out like now. So we'll probably see work done on that sometime in the fall. Okay. Bottom line is that's where the action is this year, is on the water and sewer. Even from the Southeast Water Treatment Plant, we received a 20% increase in what they charge us. So we are going to do some modifications to the water rate. The sentiment on council is we are going to continue to protect citizens from those water rate increases. We did a little bit of a survey. It's called the Internet between Public Works, a number of different people on council and the administration, that we are still very defensive. In other words, our water rates on a commercial basis are still significantly lower than the surrounding areas. So we are going to make adjustments that will allow us to be able to pass on the water rates to our commercial area primarily. We're going to try to protect our small businesses, and we are still going to have lower water rates commercially than the surrounding area. So we feel very good about what we're doing, and that will allow us the money to handle these unexpected capital projects too. So I am committed to make sure we replace the full gambit of our infrastructure under the streets, at least while I'm in council. And I think I need about another year and a half to be able to do that. So in my mind, I think that's if we walk away and have newer infrastructure under our streets to all our house, both for water, sanitary, and even some of the areas on stormwater, then League City, then I think that's really something I'll be proud that this city would have achieved. At least that's my goal. Some other things that are going on the general fund area,
Yeah, you had a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
One of our neighbors has had a leak, water leak for 3 months. And for the last, since before the 4th of July, the city's been aware of it, probably before that.
Where is it located? What street?
411 Kingstown Court, right across the street from AJ's.
Okay.
And it's a constant leak. We walk.
Is it on Jameson's property? Is it on her?
No. They live across.
So it's across the street. You know, I stopped the water leak there because they ran up thing, but this is different.
It's not bursting out of the ground, but you can see it running off the curb. They're stopped.
I'll go take a.
You know, she was told around the 4th of July that, you know, it's a busy time of year, but it seems like somewhere down the line it needs to be fixed.
I agree.
She's sweeping it down to Vinland.
She has to sweep it down to Vinland because there's so much.
I will get on that. I'll take a look at it myself. I'll go take a look at it.
18411 Kingstown Court.
Yeah.
Right on the corner, it's right across.
Right,
the street
right across from
the
Jan. Just where it T-bones out, right? So, correct. Okay, I'll take a look at it.
It was a leak there, and then somebody said, "Oh, there's a leak," and I said, "Yeah, the city knows." Somebody was walking by. And about a week or 10 days after that, there were some cones put in the yard, and I'm like, "Whoa, progress!"
Usually that does mean they're getting ready to. I'll walk by there. I'll put eyes on it. Okay, and what we can do.
Hey, Phil, before we move on from water, what's your plan? I hear that smart meters are.
Yeah,
being
thank you
looked
for
at.
that. So I that is going to be in the budget. So what we're going to do is, and this is to me a project that graduates us from being a city from, you know, a public works back in the 1960s to actually having a smart meters, and it's into the 21st century. What Pete's talking about is there's a project, we're going to try to do it primarily through grants, but we will do it one way or the other, where we're going to replace every single meter in the city, so that we don't have to public works guys to go out and actually physically count, you know, the amount of usage. It is, I'll come. To me, that is a very low value activity for them, and I'd much rather them do things around maintenance in our city, maintenance in our park, maintenance that I consider what Public Works is really supposed to do, right? In addition, it'll have safety features where if we have a hurricane or things like that, we'll be able to preemptively shut things off. I believe will be an app that residents will be able to shut their own water off if they desire during that period of time that there's there. But it'll move us into the modern age of how we do our water management, rather than it's smart meters. And I come from the chemical industry. We've been doing this for 25, 30 years. So it's going to cost about $1 million. So I think it's $900,000, not quite $1 million. So, but it's something I really want to do. It's one of the reasons why, we have made, starting this past year, we've made quite a bit of change in our water fees, because a lot of our capital needs are based on the infrastructure for water. And that's really where ones need to stand on their own 2 feet. And if we have capital projects for water delivery systems, it should be done based off the consumption of water. And right now, I believe from our assessments in the study we did, our citizens are actually paying more than others from before, which is why we are protecting them. We are not going to do increases for the citizens, and it's going to be done primarily on the commercial sector.
2 things. Commercial properties already have smart meters on their water, or?
No, they do
No
not.
one does?
No one does. I mean, if they do, it's one-offs, and I don't believe our system is at all smart.
And the second thing.
I may get corrected by Cheney over here real quick, but I mean, when I looked at this, before, we are because it's driven by the city.
The second thing is on the water meters. The city used to allow residents with pools to have a dedicated tap into the city line for pool filters. If they were very water.
I understand. Yep.
And that was cut off or
stopped. Yeah, it's about 5-6 years ago or something.
No, longer than that.
Longer than that. Okay.
So it's a higher water rate because you're paying for water and sewer.
My understanding, though, is if you contact the city and Robert in particular and say you're doing something where you fill in your pool and give them a estimate of what your pool, they will give you the credit to your sewer charges. So it's not precise, it's not there, but they're it's kind of the honor system, or not.
With the water meters, would you be able to tell that, or?
Unless you have a separate line, you really can't, because you can't because it's commingled. But if you had a separate line, you could. So, right.
Thank you very much.
Yep. So.
Some years ago, I called when we filled our pool, and I was told that there was a one-time during the year, they would let you change the rate.
I haven't.
We'll handle it, but this has been years ago. So now you're saying that.
So just so everybody here, that is not something I have heard.
No, I've had it in adjustment when we reclassified our.
No, but they're saying they give you a one time per year.
Yeah, that's what they told us.
Oh, yeah.
Once a year,
I-
you can, in our case, when we have a report.
Yep, I've had that, but I've heard actually if you have work that needs to be done, something that's there, it'll do it more than once a year.
Just told us once a year.
I'll look into that, but my understanding is I did not think that was the case. So.
No big deal.
Yeah.
Just check backwards
Yep.
again.
I've got one thing. I've been texted by our group that the public communication on street sweeping is not for this weekend.
Oh,
So anybody out there, it's not for this weekend. It's for August 5th and August 6th. So it's not this weekend. So not tomorrow, not day after tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow and a week from Sunday.
and that's coming through our same line, so is it 34211?
I don't know.
I think so.
I don't know.
So it's,
So can we add to our wish list that we purchase a street sweeper for Nassau Bay?
I haven't crossed that bridge yet, Pete, and you and I kind of
How
talk.
much baklava will we have to do?
But I do believe though that as we come up with some of these preventative maintenance, and that's what this is the beginning of us pushing. You've heard me say I want to clean streets. I want to have intact curbs. I want painted curbs. I want trimmed trees. I want things that most towns do on a preventative basis and done on contract. Our guys, we're going to have to do that. We put aside, the ability to handle that, but I don't have somebody who I can have drive, the streets from Public Works right now. And you may think that's kind of like, but we're having our guys pluck the plants now as the economy is starting to do. Our $19, $20 an hour is not, competitive with $30 an hour at the plants. And they're targeting us, and we've lost people that way. So some of this shakes out is going to have to be done by contract. So we'll see. We'll see. Well, I mean, go back and forth, right? Right now, I believe it will be but streets are more than tree trimming. You're right. Street sweeping, I want to have done at least quarterly, if not more often, because particularly during the June 1st to November 1st or December 1st, I want to make sure that we keep as much out of our storm as we can. If you really look at it, one of the biggest reasons why we can't convey as much water is because, pardon my French, crap gets in there, brush gets in there, and we have to clean it out. So the more I can keep it, I can put it in a street sweeper, the more I keep it out of our sewers. So to do. And not only that, it makes our city look nicer. And I even want to have streets that are curbs that are power washed. I don't think they've been done, just like we did with the barrier from Swan Lagoon, to Bell Harbor. Look at what that did. It just puts a snap to it, and I want to put a snap back into some of our things in the city. And we've got 2 power washers. We've got some things. So that's one of the things coming back to the general fund that you're going to see as a focus on is how do we get back to a lot of our preventative maintenance? How do we get back to some of the basic enforcement stuff that we do with like speeding, community policing, Party Cove, things along that line and beautification that we've kind of not had the money to do. And now after the budget last year to do things, I want us to instill these practices because that's how you get it really inexpensively for the citizens, is to do it on a preventative basis.
I have a question, I don't know where to put this in, but all the burnt out streetlights on Nassau Parkway,
Yeah,
do we have a
that's Center Point, and they're just horrible. They're just,
I mean, that curb by Bell Harbor.
I
had a lot of accidents.
I'm of the point that I wish they would designate us as like one of their maintenance people and let us do it. We charge them. If I charge them by the light bulb, maybe they'll do it. I'm trying to get them to come out to trim trees so we don't have power things. It's almost like an act of God. Yeah.
Lakeside and Sandy Cove haven't had those green street signs
Yeah.
for over a year, and I've dropped dots on their maps on, I don't get any. Nothing ever happens.
Nothing ever happens. Yep, it's true.
about the lake.
Mm-hmm.
The lights don't turn on at night.
Which lights?
The one,
By the creek?
yeah.
Yeah, we've known about that, and so what he's talking about is the walkway along the perimeter of the big park is where we put those old solar lights, the black ones, the big black ones, and we've got some that we believe, and it's not just some, it's quite a number because I walked out there that need to be reprogrammed, but yet we no longer have a contract with the people that program those. So they will come on during the day. They'll come on not at night. And there's some that just need to be cleaned out because one of the things that we know about these type is that the solar panels up the center get filled with bugs, and you gotta have a maintenance program to clean out the bugs. It's on my list, but I've got other ones right now because that's some money. We'll get to that. I mean, at some point, I'm hoping probably the first half of next year, but it's just not on the schedule at this moment. And we can bump it up, but from the people that I've heard, they said that's probably let's get some of these other things to come back to the solar lights.
Thank you, anyway.
So.
So back along, I'm talking about the Val Harbor area. Who's responsible for the medians as far as mowing or trimming or anything like that?
Believe it's in the medians in those streets at the entrances, I believe is the city of Nassau Bay.
Okay, because we've got like there's a tree that's out of control that's very dangerous when you're going.
You're talking about the median and Nassau
the
Road.
median, yes.
Nassau Road 1.
On Nassau Road 1 or is on
Nassau Road 1
Yeah.
medians.
So yeah, we
Val Harbor.
so we don't own that, but we signed an interlocal agreement back in 1999 that said we're responsible for the landscaping that's out there.
Okay.
So
I mean, ever since the freeze and everything, I mean, we've got a lot of dead bushes. But
yeah,
then there's one that's very dangerous. So if you're coming from Sandy
bushes
Cove,
or trees?
well, it's like a bush, okay? So if you're coming from Sandy Cove, turning left on Nassau Road 1, going down more towards 45, right? There's one bush, and it makes it very difficult because it has gotten out.
I'll take a look at it because
Nobody's
if you've
trimmed it.
noticed, I've had a huge number of bushes pulled out up on Nassau Road
Yeah,
1.
none of
This
has
is-
been pulled out yet.
So I know that they thought some were still alive, and I remember that one maybe had a thread of green in it that they thought, but I'll take a look at it.
But
But
no, when I'm talking about the very healthy,
Yeah.
it's growing
we're
too much
we're at
to where it makes it, your view of oncoming traffic is very difficult. And I've thought several times that I'm gonna go out there and that it's just a dangerous spot for
So what-
anybody to be out there to try to train.
what we're trying to do, and if I again come back to the general fund, and believe it or not, I'm planning on having another town hall meeting like I did early on before we adopt a budget, because I want to go over these things in more detail and have it open for the whole community. But we're wanting to reestablish some more of the planting of the bushes that we took out. We just couldn't afford it right away, but we're going to in the October 1, the new budget. We're also trying to establish, we're going to do it in very small tranches. You know, we put 26 of the palm trees up on the between Upper Bay and Port Royal, not Upper Bay and Point Lookout. We want to get either end entrances, so we're going to try to do another 25, and then that's probably all the majules we will do, unless I hear from the citizens, because they're expensive. So the thought is having the entryways east and west being the majules, and having the center the majules. We can do something else in the other medians that's not as expensive.
Because Webster kind of put us to shame.
Oh,
Well, they're small. All I know is they're smaller. Ours are 20
Yes,
feet.
yes,
they're 10
they're-
feet.
But I think it adds to,
You know, so if you say the east understand that means that we'll have some by Val Harbor?
Yeah, at that very,
Because
the very first, median there, right by there. It's right by where Bal Harbor is. As you come out of Bal Harbor, if you take a left, right, as you go through that gap, right?
Yeah, because I was looking at some old pictures when the shuttle came by
Mm-hmm.
and we had palm trees.
Yep.
So I've got proof that we had them.
No, there's no question. I was, from my previous time on council, John Haugen and I did the demonstration, and then we started on the outside and worked our way in. At one time, we had 147 medjool palms out there, which we split with TxDOT. They were only about $2,500, so we only were about $1,000. So we only had like about $150,000. I spent more than $150,000 on the ones just between Upper Bay and Port. They're like $6,000 now, and I didn't split it with anybody. So I'm trying to do a little bit at a time, and we got to really think about just exactly what we want to do. But there's that's at least what we're thinking right now.
And then you have insurance on them, right?
We do. I'm not going to be exposed. So just so you know, and I've repeated this before, if we get a freeze and we lose every single one of those trees, the group that put them in has to put in brand new ones at no cost to the city of Nassau Bay, right?
I imagine the insurance is pretty.
And then it's for it was about $30,000. And I think that's really because that also includes if, people don't realize those trees get hit by cars. They can be, bugs. There can be infestations. There can just be, they just die. And we have a for any reason replacement policy. For any reason replacement
I
policy.
still have another comment when you were speaking about Upper Bay Road and medians. And
Mm-hmm.
I've got a problem down between Seacoast and Port Royal on Upper Bay Road on the left-hand side where the canals come up.
Yep.
I understand that people on both property on both sides of that end on Upper Bay Road own that strip of land between them.
Most do. There's an easement for the city, but for what I understand is on every one of those in between cul-de-sacs canals, the property owners actually own even halfway out into the canals to where they abut property.
Yes, at the
And
canal,
and
at the canal, at the Upper Bay end.
Correct.
And at the court end
and
also.
correct.
Where I've got a problem, and it's been going on for years, is that the Upper Bay enders are not keeping shrubs which have grown into trees now,
Mm-hmm.
and they're blocking the water off. We have floods, it almost acts like a dam
Yeah.
in some areas. All I want to do is see those homeowners.
So one of the things, and I would have,
Plus, the city is mowing that property.
yeah,
And I don't understand homeowners own that property, why our city
'Cause it's-
crews are mowing
yeah.
that property.
good question. I'll look in. I mean, one of the things that I know we do is for areas that are key to our flood plan. Like I'll go just down between Point Martinique. There's a trench that goes into under Kings Tree Lane Bridge that goes there. We maintain that whole area there. There's places that we maintain because it's important around the flooding equipment that we do that. I don't know if there's, I mean, I'll look into
I
it.
do understand that
What-
if there's a pipe or a piece of machinery or something,
What
that
I'm-
the city would take care of it, but I believe on this particular strip of land, just belongs to
What
the
I
homeowners and not
believe-
having their crews.
What I believe is a lot of our trees or whatever your shrubs have gotten so overgrown in many areas that they actually obstruct streets. They obstruct the beauty of things, even though I'm a big fan of trees. I helped Barbara Gilbertson, bless her soul, plant over 200, 300 trees in the city. But they've grown, and we've got to make sure we keep up on them in the right ways.
Well, and the other problem at this end is because all of this is going out of the bulkhead. And I
That's
believe that
bad.
old bulkhead
Yeah, that's
that
bad.
is on Upper Bay Road.
Yep.
It's original bulkhead, and I'm afraid it's gonna collapse. So first of all, you need to come down.
That's one of the things that keeps me up at night is we've not really focused on our bulkheads throughout the city. But anyways, that's a whole nother budget cycle. Just so,
I was
Jim?
gonna mention one of the, y'all talked about over there by George Street is where that home was taken down from FEMA. They got a beautiful bulkhead over there. Pretty close to the marina.
yeah.
And the empty piece of property is kind of very low. And one of our neighbors, kind of a builder, and he's watching building. He figured they spent $250,000 just for that small area.
No question.
Army Corps of Engineers.
Yeah, it's expensive.
They can build-
Everything's gone up,
they can
folks.
build-
Everything's gone up. But I think again, coming back to the general fund, Jaime has done a great job. He's our new finance director. And he has just made it this budget cycle so easy. He's actually taken just to tell you a little bit how good our finances are, he took a zero property appreciation on our general fund, and it only created about a not even $150,000 to $200,000 deficit. By us taking this burden off the general fund and moving things to the water fund has freed up things. So I just saw the report today. I've been tied up with some personal things, but that says our property values have increased from 2021 to 2022, which is the basis taxes for 2024, believe it or not. It's gone up 13%. So, and I looked at it, every 3% was worth about 150. So if we're at 13-14%, it says you're going to have to cut back your tax rate in order to do that. And I really only want to do what's minimally necessary, because one of the reasons why there was a little bit of a deficit is labor's going up everywhere, but we also are funding a designated code enforcement official. I think you probably heard that Officer Henderson has been designated as our dedicated code enforcement. He's already had a major impact. If you remember, there were close to 30 unread short-term rentals. There are now 3 registered, and there's all the unregistered ones have been taken off. And the ordinance that we put in that said you can't even advertise, we will fine you $2,000 a day if you advertise without being there. People have taken them off B&B and off the things like that, because we have cited one person in particular, which everyone knows is or maybe never. It'll become, understanding is the folks that did the STR that vandalized Swan Lagoon got cited for a number of different things. So we're going to get some money.
Good.
So
How about the vandals? Did they get charged?
they have. I'd have to get back to the full extent, because there's some were minors. There was 4, I believe, from the ages 16 to 27 that were there, and I'm making sure the full brunt, because some of the language they had and that they put it on SAIC's building on that white was just terrible. And to have it, I don't know if people saw the pictures. I don't know how they fit so much writing on our playground equipment. They must have been there 2 hours. They were hard at it and really ticked me off, just personally. So
same people think the trains.
I don't know. It was just bad. And they got our brand new water fountain. We're getting ready to change over stuff. So I want to throw the book at them. I don't want anybody to think they can come into our neighborhood, make that kind of a scar on the perception of our community by our business. And let anybody driving down the road, I just don't want that. And I want to make an example of them. And I want to do everything I can to do that.
16-year-olds to 26-year-olds did not rent the Airbnb.
No, they actually, my understanding is they did. is there was the people that were there, where they were the 27-year-old, I think was who actually did the rental of.
Really?
That's what I understand through a man. So just to show you how evolved this is, which is why I'm glad we're doing stuff. And again, position on this, but there's a vote going on right now at the Nassau Bay Homeowners Association, which is the largest homeowners on this specific issue. They're trying to decide whether to completely, restrict any STR from happening or not. So if this is an important issue, please go vote. A management company was operating this STR for the property owner, of which these 4 and the one who was 27 was the one I understand who actually rented it.
I don't know if you're aware, in Val Harbor, we don't have.
That's my understanding.
No, we had a vote. We have to vote.
Yeah.
Correct. That's my understanding. I understand 2 things. Is I think Bob Waters, so he asked me, because I did the work up here to do some of the stuff. I think you guys wanted all the other additional restrictions plus just saying you can't do them.
Yeah.
And I think you just went to you can't do them.
Yeah, we did.
How
Yeah.
long ago was that?
Last year.
Last year.
Yeah,
Last year.
because we had one that went crazy. They had the police estimated there were 60 people at the house having a party,
Wow.
Correct.
scaring neighbors that were single family, single person households.
So I have Austin in my shorts, so to speak, as the officer here in the city of Nassau Bay that restricts what we can do to an STR. I can do oversight, I can do things, but I do not have the authority under the state constitution. Austin has taken that and said, "Thou shalt have it." And I've pushed, and I've had our city attorney look into things, and I said, "What's the difference between a hotel that has people coming in? Some of our homes have 6 bedrooms where people are doing 6 rooms that are 24/7, 7 days a week. Why is that any different than a micro hotel or something like that?" And he said the Texas ruled that it's a residential property rather than a hotel. Thou shalt not. So I'm restricted. The reason I say that is the homeowners associations like Bell Harbor, like Swan Lagoon, like the Nassau Bay Homeowners, that's done by contract. That's not done under the authority of the Constitution. So they have the ability to restrict what they want under the deed restrictions for the homeowners association. So that's why I raise that if this is an interest to you, it is to me. I encourage everybody to vote. It's open right now.
But we can't if we're in Bell Harbor, right? It's
No.
just-
Yeah, you have to be, correct. Bell Harbor's already voted on it.
Right.
They've actually
Already
taken
took care of it.
they're probably in a lead position here. And I understand Swan Lagoon followed the same way. A homeowners association. So it's the residential properties from, I guess, Herman Boulevard, or not Herman, Methodist Boulevard.
Oh, okay.
I always confuse those two. I don't know, it's something in my brain. But it's there all the way over to Nassau Bay Drive is basically the Nassau Bay Homeowners
It's
Association.
925 homes out of the 1,200
Yep.
in Nassau Bay.
Yep.
75%.
So those are some of the things going on in the general fund. We're also more than likely going to get what's called a flock system, which will allow us to identify people who have warrants, people who have certain records that are there, that police records that we will know when they're in our city, so we can have better management of or give tools to our guys to make it easier for them to get bad actors. So that'll be done. I'm even hoping before October 1st, but it'll be an October 1st budget. let me just see if there's other things here. Got to give a shout out to the Public Works guys again, for reasons you may not be aware. And I'll also give a shout out to Dan and Anita Young on Martinique. They did an early detection of an algae bloom out on Lake Nassau. And believe it or not, the guys were out there. They made sure that the aerators were doing great. They brought out the 8-inch pump. They brought out the 3-inch pump, and they also filtered out, I think, about 20,000 pounds of algae just to make sure. And they've also worked with now Officer Henderson for people who put brush in Lake Nassau, so that got taken out and got cited and things along that line. But if you've noticed that with as high of a temperature as we have, Lake Nassau has been actually pretty decent, which is really directly related to our Public Works guys. They're doing dissolved oxygen tests every day to make sure we don't have a fish kill. So for some things you may not realize what our Public Works guys do, they're doing active management. And this is real important because Mike Barrett worked with Texas Parks and Wildlife to get that lake, stocked. So there's like 3,000, what will become smallmouth bass, in that, unless we kill them by a fish kill.
Real quick, just a heads up that the leak that is over there on Kingstown Court, that is scheduled for next week. It's one of the minor leaks across the city. So just a heads up, they've got on the schedule for them.
For next week.
Yes.
Yep.
Right.
There we go. Thanks, James. Thanks. Let me see what else.
Any movement on the businesses going in there next to,
Heard nothing.
next to Five Guys?
I've heard nothing. I mean, that's now, pretty long time where they've been vacant.
We would hear something if they pulled a permit, so no one's actually gone in and pulled a permit for there. So her best estimate, that comes from the Bayham also, that there isn't anybody that's going into that area as of yet.
And
Did they have anything for release?
No, they didn't. No.
and I'm pleased. Yes, I heard you. The Compass Rose is back to how it looked before. I think this is probably one of the most heard about comments in a while, because it is back to how it's there, and we'll maintain it that way.
And if I can add to that, the Compass Rose will actually have a Compass Rose on it.
Yeah.
Going
It already does. Yes, I was going to say.
So
I mean, we had a very inexperienced person that took liberties where they should not, and it's to me how many people read the Compass Rose, and how much of it is a venue, and just font size and being able to read it was, let alone just the color and not having a Compass Rose on the Compass Rose was anxiety filled.
Hey, Phil, just a quick comment on, update on our new city manager, everything.
Yeah, I should. That was going to be some of my comments. So Nathan Bird is under contract, and and as I mentioned before, will be our next city manager. He is contractually required to stay until September 15th, which means his first day would be September 18th. There's been coordination work between Livingston County and myself and him. We believe that sooner than that. I don't know if it'll be September 1st. That's what I'm gearing, but it'll be early September. He'll have feet on the ground and there. So
Is he able to help with any of the budgeting?
not as of yet. I think what we're doing is we're going through here, and we're going to set up upload it to him. And I fully expect him to be a participant going forward. So.
Has there been any improvements on the security of Howard Park, especially since that park's not always like the safest?
So that's one of the things that you're going to see as part of the budget cycle, just the enhanced amount of community policing where the guys are out and about. I think, just a higher degree of enforcement for stuff that's on our books that we kind of casual. And I'm being a little bit of a horse's patoot here, and I know it. But I believe that if STRs really operated like citizens of this community without 60 people partying and stuff like that, it wouldn't be a problem. And we have ordinances to do that. We have ordinance around speeding. I know we put our speed monitor out there, but I think that only causes one person to slow down and then says, they speed up after. And I think we need to start citing people. I think we need to enforce it in a variety of areas. And I believe that's how people understand what the rules are. And I think when people understand that, they comply. And that's to me a good thing.
I'll hitchhike on that and the compass roads and stuff we publish. It says no speeding in Nassau Bay, whatever it says on the flyer.
Mm-hmm.
But it shows about a 50-foot boat crossing this huge wake.
Yeah, correct.
On the flyer.
Correct.
Say, don't do this.
Correct. So one of the things you're also going to see is an attention to signage. So, like for speeding, we don't want a whole bunch of signs in the residential community, but what you're going to see is signage for what the speed limit is at the very beginning of the commercial to the residential. You're going to see an updated sign for out on the wall, rather than just says, be kind, no excessive wake or things like that. It's going to be no noise ordinance of 50 at night, 55 during the day. It's going to be distances from properties and things like that. And we're working with the guys just to educate them, make sure they got decibel meters, make sure they got range, just so that they can actually just do it easily. But I think you're going to find that you're going to see better signage throughout the city for a variety of reasons to help with enforcement. And I think you're going to see a greater attention to laws that are already on our books that we've just been a little bit too casual.
Yeah, the signs out there on the water now are so small.
You cannot.
You can't even read it.
But I mean, I'm also looking at, whether or not, and I wouldn't mind here is on the waterfront there, would love to go to a no wake, because the reason for that is it has gotten so crowded and so lax from enforcement that I have people who come to our cul-de-sac to look, the boats are out there and whether or not they think it's safe to take their kids out there. And those are Nassau Bay citizens for people who aren't from Nassau Bay out there doing stuff. And I just think that's got to stop. So, hey, there you go.
Right.
You're talking about speed limits, though, and all that kind of stuff. And you don't want a lot in residential. Is there a possibility to get another 20-mile-an-hour speed limit along Upper Bay that's not right at the beginning of our city? Because that's a long road.
Yeah, I mean, I can lower the speed limit.
No, we get another sign.
Yeah, we are going to get so. I wish I had here because I just went over this with city staff. So at every north-south entrance, all the way from the road that starts by the Hilton, right, to Bell Harbor, right there, the front, Swan Lagoon, Upper Bay, Point Lookout, and then Nassau Bay Drive. As you come into there to where you go in, it won't be it'll be a sign right at the transition from commercial to residential, that there'll be a new speeding sign put at every one of those north-south. So there'll be no confusion as to what the speed limit is coming into Nassau, every north-south entryway into the city. You can't argue with it. It'll be right there, and there'll be brand new signs where they enter our city. So like Nassau Bay Drive and Saxony, if you know, right up there. It'll be Lookout, and right there by Queens Court, right there, there'll be one there. Upper Bay Road will be right there by the fire department, right there by the apartments, and so on. You get the idea. That's. I'm hearing that those are very well in stock, that we should be by the next month. I'm hoping. I'm speaking for Paul, and I shouldn't do that, but he says that should not be a hard thing to do.
Are we lowering the speed limit?
No, we're just letting people know what it is. I mean, my understanding, except for in like a couple, I think there's less than 4 speed limit signs in all of Nassau Bay. Your homeowners, and I just think that's leads to confusion.
The other one is, and I don't know if this is our jurisdiction, although it is National Bay. When you come off the bypass.
Yeah,
people are going
they're
60
flying.
an hour, and they're right back up to the old Buc-ee's or whatever that is now.
Correct.
There is now a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit, but when you're coming off.
That is not our jurisdiction. That's tech, and that's correct. That's Harris. Yes. I've been involved in a lot of this. We have rights to the landscaping. Actually, Harris County, and that means TxDOT determines what goes in and what's not.
It's county.
It's county.
Right.
It's county. Yep.
Yeah, I asked about if you knew anything about the businesses by, I wanted to do a public service announcement.
Mhm.
There's a new business that's going in right next to where, do you remember where Dickie's was?
Yeah.
There's gonna be a tea house.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Coffee.
it's going in there, and
No,
they're
keep.
going to have an open house on whatever the Saturday is, August 4th, August 5th.
Yep.
From like 7 in the morning until midnight. And I just.
Do you know the name?
It's
Do you
her
remember
granddaughter.
what?
Summer Moon.
Summer Moon. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Her granddaughter is the one that's opening it. They have one open
Yep.
in Friendswood, and this is her second one. So I just want to put in a plug for, to at least stop by during the
Hey,
open house. And
That's
see what it's like.
fantastic. That's there's also the new shop right there by what used to be the Nassau Bay Liquor or whatever it was. That's the Power Bar, the that does what I consider athletic, food supplements and things like that. So they do that, and that's really neat. I probably could use some of that. What else? Oh, I got a decision that we took on council. The pipe shop that is looking at wanting to be up next to Starbucks has been officially told that they must get a specific use permit. And the reason I say that is because we kind of shut down an effort called Uniform Development Code, the UDC, which would have eliminated the whole specific use permit process. And I really believe that works to the citizens' advantage to have citizen council responsible for anything that deviates from what is kind of denoted in the zoning. And that it almost went in, it was stopped. It's now going through a specific use permit. And I don't believe there's anybody that really wants to have that type of shop put in. And I believe, without knowing the outcome, I believe that it's got a pretty tough road to hoe. So
It's pretty much fully stocked though.
yeah, but that's would be in violation of our code, and they've been told that. So-
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
that's
We don't want smoking.
yeah, correct.
I have a question back on the signage. Is there a local signage company that we use to provide our signs?
I think it depends, because I think some of the answer, like when you talk about your parks and recreation type things, about what you want or don't want, you have the ability to tailor things. And then there's straight text dot, which is like, thou shalt only have it look like this, and you buy it from here. So,
One of our signs, it says humble
yeah,
sign company.
yeah,
Have we
so.
gone all the way to Humble to get
Is that for, it depends, I'd have to look at what, I mean, I'm assuming the answer is yes, because I don't think they're there, but
If
we,
there was a local company, I'd
but
like to
there's-
see us use those.
but there's definitively control by TxDOT for things that are the jurisdiction of TxDOT for the type of signs that says thou shalt go here.
Hey, Bill, can I plant a seed since we're talking about signs? You know, one of the things I really like about Bow Harbor is when you drive into Bow Harbor, there are some signs that say Nassau Bay is a bird sanctuary.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere else in the city do we
Yeah.
have those. Can we consider putting them at our major?
Yeah, I mean,
entrances?
right now, if you've seen, there's been a number one, and I would encourage everybody to take a picture, send it to me, send it to the people in parks. I know Michelle Weller's been involved. Paul Lopez is now definitely in tune to it. We've got a number of signs that are just about as blanched out can be. So it's just time. They're not that expensive. They're actually very inexpensive, and they're really helpful.
We have posts that have no sign.
Pardon me?
We have posts.
That have no sign. You're right.
I don't even remember what they said.
Send me a picture. Send me a picture.
It'll just be a pole.
But just send me where, exactly.
And on Lakeside, there's a pole.
Yeah,
One problem we run into is when there's accidents
yeah.
and cars from Nassau Parkway hit something, they don't. I don't know if it's the interaction with the insurance companies or TxDOT again or what, but they don't get.
Anything that occurs on the southern curb of Nassau, that's where our jurisdiction starts.
Let's say one thing before I have to run. I attended, James attended at a different time, but some stuff that's going on in League City where they're helping develop up the creek, have paddling areas.
Mm-hmm.
There was a great meeting. I could tell when I went to the meeting 2 nights ago that James, they were talking about Nassau Bay in this meeting. So they're really developing a lot of neat things. So Clear Creek starts at actually ends right where our Nassau Bay Peninsula is. That's the end of Clear Creek before it gets into Clear Lake.
Mhm.
But it goes a long way up through League City and into Houston, actually. So they put together a lot of neat paddling events and floating docks and all that stuff. And James was there next point talk about what we're doing in Nassau Bay. So I think it's really good. It's neat for the community. Economically, it's going to be good to draw people in. And they really have a nice concept. James, you know what that group is called?
It's a Clear Creek.
Yep, you and I were at that, the one we went to, correct. I was involved with that.
I went to the
Yep.
final meeting.
So, yep.
But it's a really neat development.
So, yep.
And we talked about the paddling in Nassau Bay event too. So,
Okay.
all right, thank you.
Glenn, you're quiet tonight, this afternoon. Let me just go through. I know we're past, but let me just see here. We just signed the repair and replacement of the road leading beside the pickleball courts, the parking area there, and in and around, so that you can actually get a golf cart out to the ball field. So that'll now be ADA accessible. Any nations or any areas that anybody sees that we need to address from an ADA standpoint, could you please give me that visibility directly? Just so you know, is somebody told me in a wheelchair that our front doors to our city hall our NDA, and I just went and checked, and I remember that, and it's not. So they say they have a real hard time if you're got ADA issues that they can come to city council or come in. It's a bear. So I want to. It's been an objective to try to do things because we have people of all ages, young to senior citizens who have issues, and to be able to make sure those are taken away, because I don't want anybody not able to get into this building, let alone go watch their grandchildren at a ballpark and a ball game for the Nauticats or whatever. I want to make sure those things. So if you see anything relative to ADA and restrictions, let me know specifically. We've got reserves that a war chest for some capital that are undesignated, and I smite me with a problem that we have to fix. If you would, please.
Phil, when it comes to a business, though, that's the property owner?
That's the property owners, correct. So I'm thinking just city things, so.
Hey, Phil, do you have a quick update on home elevations, where we're at, how many have been done, and how many are in the next tranche? When's that start?
So there's none have changed about the past, because those are all back from 2019 designations. So after that, we have not been the recipient of the FEMA grant funds to be able to do that. I do believe that every year we do submit. I believe the answer for this past year for 2022 was supposed to have been done here early July, but I have not heard anything. But
I have a friend of mine who's finishing his completion. He's in the final 10%, Zamaron on Nassau Bay Drive.
Yep.
So there's not another tranche that's starting in Nassau Bay?
No, that'll for 2023 will start up in November is what I understand. And that all gets submitted then. And then they find out sometime, June, July timeframe, whether or not FEMA is backing that submission or not. So they have not here the past several years.
So when somebody is raising, I'm sure they do some kind of inspection of the house and
They do.
It can be raised.
Yeah, so like I'll give you an example is over in Harbor Martinique, right there on West Indies that goes there. We had one whole area strip that it was defined and from an engineering firm that the surrounding bulkheads, because that's all water right through there, couldn't handle the added weight that was going to. So those got all knocked down by coordination with the Texas Water Development Board and the city of Nassau Bay, and that was returned to like little park there.
It's going to be interesting. I don't know where Sailboat turns into something else. What is it?
Where are you
I
talking
know, I never
about?
know. Like going more towards
Swan Lagoon?
yeah, Swan Lagoon. I guess it's considered part of Swan Lagoon. There's a house being raised, and
The blue thing.
Yeah, the blue. I've
Beyond
seen it.
me,
Yeah.
How that thing is structurally safe to raise, because that is one of the ugliest things I've ever seen. It's ugly. It was ugly enough on the ground. Now they're raising that thing,
Well,
and I'm
the-
thinking, oh my God, what's it going to look like? when it's up in the air?
The aesthetics and thing are two very different parameters for things. My understanding of that area is it's got clay down there, so they can punch holes all the way down to the clay to make sure it'll stand. So
Can't wait.
engineering, aesthetically, that's up to the prop. So I can't help them after that. So
You can carry your little signs in front of the house.
yeah.
Do not raise this up. Little protest, private protest.
Any other questions? We're about 20 minutes past the time.
What's the strategy to hire a builder that has been really difficult?
So there's two things is again, Cecily has been such a breath of fresh air there. She actually has a contract group that will be helping us do things during the interim of a building inspector. She has said that most cities that have this group choose to just contract it out rather than have a separate building official. But I'm not ready to make that decision.
Is that not a college major, right? It's like, why is this so difficult? It's like.
Well, no, because I'm going to say this, and I really liked Herman, is you need somebody who's got the experience in construction that really knows how to look at drawings, that really knows how to do that out, gaps, which is not easy. It really isn't. And on top of that, you need a temperament to deal with how you give people bad news well, is how I like to say it. It's part of what I do. You got to be able to give bad news, well, and be able to be uniform in how you apply stuff. And then not only that is you've got to be certified in the building code. So it's usually that's not something you get a college degree on. It's something you've got to get continuing education and get certified and have some real experience. Because as we've seen, if you make a mistake here, you get lawsuits. It gets emotional between neighbors.
So is there a difference between Officer Henderson and what he's doing now and the group?
Yeah, so he'll be able to offload some of that because code enforcement. If you listen to Herman and during the budget cycle before he left to go back home to Arizona, he said that a building official does prevention, a code enforcement does enforcement. And when you look at that, that's probably a good way to look at the roles that each play. And a good building official does a lot of prevention so that you don't have to have a code enforcement, and a code enforcement is somebody who's there in case you've got things that they don't. So that's how I explain the difference between, because that's how it was explained to me. I think it's a really good way of looking at that.
So we always compare ourselves to Seabrook, right? So does Seabrook have their own building inspector?
They do. I mean, but everybody's going through and there's they because Seabrook, and then I'll even say Kemah, has so much tourism based activity that their code enforcement for public safety is a higher degree than ours. Many more people.
And population wise, Seabrook's like 13,000 and we're 5,000.
Yeah,
like
correct.
3 times as large.
Correct.
Since you're talking about code, do you have any status on the Jameson House on Martin and all that?
So I've told them that I believe they're out of compliance for the time frame for them to build. They've shot back and said, well, the city's been part of that. I've got a meeting that we're trying to schedule probably next week to reset to make sure that the time frame is a proper, because even some of the things that I say that are the city's fault is not that much time. I'm willing to give a gratis to that, but there's a lot that's not, and I do not want to give gratis. I want them to get on with fixing it so that the people who are in that area know that that's because very little work's been done, and that got floated and visibility last city council meeting, and that's what's gearing for a new meeting.
So is the timetable still October?
It is. There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. That's what I've told him. I said, I don't BS me. So,
I have a water heater installed, and I'm really getting run around from plumbers in the city because we don't have a building inspector. I didn't know who I go to.
Cecily, go to Cecily.
Wednesday, and that wasn't clear either.
Give it to me. I'll make sure it gets in the right hands. What house is?
It's on King Street.
King Street. Yeah. Let me help, because this is here. We've just gotten, the reason I'm saying Cecily, give it to me, because we're getting a contract group that will provide the services, and I just had Lockheed Martin give me the same story that they've got expansion and a contract with Blue Origin for space exploration that they're now almost in default because they can't get a permit. And
I know that. I didn't try to get a permit. I'm trying to find someone that can tell me what I have to have done. Because yesterday I had a plumber, he gave me all this. Yeah, I mean, my water heater's been since '02, so I know there's upgrades, but I just wonder.
So what do you need specifically?
I need to make sure that what I'm having done is what I need to get a permit.
I understand. Okay. Yeah, that would be this group until we get our building. It'd be the one that if you would let me see you afterwards, and then I think I can help you. Okay. So, other questions, other comments? Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks. Janie, if you're listening, we're done. I don't want to do anything because I may screw it up. Yes, I do. Let me do this back real quick. Let me get this.
Bird sanctuary, absolutely, they've been there.
So, yeah, so you're looking to make sure that what you do complies.
When I read that, I go through the week of the
Thank you.
First of all, I'm so sorry. I had not heard that. Have you ever noticed all the birds that at night, they just go to those solid white? Okay. And then, you go down Park Peninsula and everything. It's not like that.
You gotta go buy some stuff.
Let's promote that. I just wanted to tell Phil,
Good job, ladies.
All right. Two had very, his daughter, breast cancer.
Good seeing you. So I will, I'll give you a shout out. Keep in touch. I'm glad you like that.
Yeah, well, she's in line.
I'm really thankful. Always been there.
Who knows? 102 is a lot of
You get out. Okay, this is gonna be.
I emphasize super
That's gonna be 20. It's gonna be 20 plus your tip and donation. Thank you, man.
I don't
We're getting this to take to Alice, the hotel and Rachel and.
Coming back to you.
Yeah.
I met with them. They're using wind.
No, no. Oh.
Cleveland comply. Same type of process.
Okay,
I don't want their.
Then get the 5 rounds.
They're downsizing the generator. They're.
Yeah, so it's gonna
Absolutely. I said, I'm ready for it.
So they have 25.
Not have power to a certain parts of the house.
They couldn't locate it anywhere.
So I looked at the flat and that house takes up.
I was thinking going girls, yeah, we were going back, good old girls.
It's all concrete.
Knock on people's doors, carrying all these.
You know what?
I do want you to know.
But your question is.
I was told, and they get in trouble for doing that if they went around opening the doors.
saw any drawings in
I told you.
I mean, is it a different thing now? Has it been?
It hasn't been approved because we haven't seen the final thing. Is what I would say is, if it does comply. You have an argument. I don't have an argument.
I mean,
I told them.
Especially like the ones
We're taking
They
care
said
of
that.
that. These.
but like, Metatron,
Windows are.
Don't go to Metatron to sell Metatron, no.
I get it.
We go to
I made that argument. Just,
And so I have.
they're saying
but I
they
want
might
you to
change
know
it.
about what they.
They said that, they're gonna change all the Mexico, natural gas.
It's a lot of.
I actually do.
But I brought up with someone else, just comply. And then get local.
I really was.
So that's what I can say there. You got a copy for me?
Thank you for handling that.
Thank you.
I just.
There's a lot of pushback from a lot of residents.
No, we're very disappointed in these people. We made a change. Let me deal with it. Because there's a new group coming in. No, I don't. Yes, I do. No, just where you're at.
So give me these five.
Just
give you Thank you again.
Wait, did Phil want any of this?
Oh, I do.
What, wait, before you, what do you, wait,
yeah, we need to find out what you want so we don't wipe it out.
So.
yeah.
Let's
see.
wait and see.
Let's see, let's.
And that's what I've been saying.
I'm sure you guys won't run out of.
Start by giving her the $20.
And
That works. Okay. Thank you, Chief. All right.
so. You're singing my song. That's gonna be. It's gonna be
I will find out. I'll get you.
And that's what I.
Okay. Thank you. Give me 2 seconds. Have you seen Cheney out at all? Have you seen Cheney? 'Cause I think we're still recording.
Okay, very good. Yeah, no, trust me, that's been one of my.
You can get another brownie here.
So wait and see what Phil wants.
I understand. He knows that's outside my office.
I didn't turn it off, but I figured I'd just
No,
erase everything.
You did great.
And then be told I'm not transparent.